Welcome back to Dinar Scope, where we bring you the latest and most honest updates about the Iraqi dinar, the revaluation rumors, and what's really going on behind the headlines. Did you hear that sound? That isn't just noise, my friends. That's the sound of opportunity knocking louder than ever before. Right now, in 2025, the chatter around the Iraqi dinar is spreading faster than ever. Whispers about Tier 4B redemption centers are dominating social media. Screenshots, leaked conversations, and so-called insider tips are everywhere. But the real question we all need to ask is this: how much of it is fact, and how much of it is just hype? More importantly, if an RV truly happens, how will the exchange really work for everyday holders like you and me? The truth is, many people are celebrating the wrong idea, and that mistake could cost them dearly. That's why today's report is more than just news. It's about protecting your financial future by separating hype from reality. If you stick with me until the end of this broadcast, you'll walk away knowing exactly what's possible, what's probable, and what's just plain noise. This matters because too many investors are getting swept up by promises of overnight wealth without understanding the mechanics of how an exchange would actually work. Before we dive into rates, let's clear up one of the most misunderstood topics: deleting zeros. This phrase has been floating around for years, and every time it sparks panic. Some say it means disaster for investors. Others claim it doesn't matter at all. The truth, it lies somewhere in the middle. Deleting zeros doesn't automatically wipe out your investment. It all depends on how the Central Bank of Iraq implements the policy. For example, your 25,000 dinar note could still hold value. Even if the numbers on the paper change, Iraq has openly discussed two different approaches. One option is a straightforward rate increase, keeping the existing notes intact. The other option is to introduce new, smaller denominations while gradually phasing out the larger ones. Either scenario could happen, and that's why it's dangerous to only focus on the fantasy of instant millions. Staying grounded and informed gives you an edge, because when the announcement does come, you'll know exactly what's happening and how to respond. Now let's talk about the dream scenario. This is the one every dinar holder hopes for. Imagine Iraq decides to keep all the zeros on the notes just as they are. A 25,000 note remains a 25,000 note. But the exchange rate shoots up dramatically against the US dollar. Overnight, the paper you've been holding in your safe could suddenly be worth a life-changing amount. It's simple, clean, and easy for both Iraq and investors. No new notes to print, no confusion for holders, just an immediate revaluation. And yes, if this happens, it would be one of the most historic financial events of our time. But hope alone isn't a strategy. As exciting as that path is, we must prepare for another possibility: zero deletion. This is where Iraq removes 3 zeros from its notes, turning a 25,000 note into 25 at first glance. This sounds terrifying, but it doesn't necessarily mean a loss in value. Many countries, like Turkey, have done this successfully in the past. The goal is usually to make daily transactions easier for citizens, not to destroy wealth. Right now, buying groceries in Iraq can mean carrying around huge stacks of high-denomination bills. Deleting zeros simplifies life inside the country. So how would the exchange process actually work in practice? Picture this. You walk into an official bank or exchange center after Iraq formally announces a rate change. The bank verifies your notes, checks authenticity, and applies the official rate. If Iraq keeps the zeros, you benefit directly from the higher exchange. If they delete zeros but honor old notes, you simply swap your larger bills for smaller ones, with the value preserved through conversion. Either way, the process would run through legitimate banks and financial institutions, not secret rooms or hidden back offices. And this brings us to one of the hottest rumors of 2025, the Tier 4B redemption centers. Across forums and Telegram chats, people are claiming that these centers are open and ready to exchange for select groups. Some say they've seen internal memos. Others claim to know someone who got a call. The story is tempting. A chosen group of dinar holders supposedly getting early access to rates before everyone else. Who wouldn't want to be part of that? But here's the reality. Official reevaluations aren't secret. They happen in the open, announced by central banks. It's covered by global media and instantly reflected in Forex systems worldwide. Currency markets move at lightning speed. If Iraq revalued the dinar, international banks, traders, and governments would all know immediately. You wouldn't just see whispers in a chat group, you'd see rate changes on trading platforms, global news tickers, and even your local bank's currency board. That's why treating every rumor like fact is dangerous. Think about it. Exchange rates affect billion-dollar trades and government budgets across the globe. They can't be rolled out quietly to just a handful of people without the entire financial system reacting. That doesn't mean private deals or special arrangements can't exist. But the idea of a secret global rollout for only a select few doesn't match how real financial systems operate. This is why keeping your expectations grounded is so important. So what's really happening in Iraq right now? The country is pushing reforms. They're reducing dependence on the US dollar, expanding their banking infrastructure, adopting modern financial technologies, and building relationships with international partners. These aren't flashy headlines, but they are the building blocks of real stability. Major reevaluations almost never happen without structural reforms in place. Iraq is laying those foundations, brick by brick. That's why patience is key for investors in 2025. Naturally, everyone wants to know the timeline. Will it be today? This month? This year? The honest answer is no one outside of Iraq's top leadership knows. Anyone who claims they know the exact date is selling you hype. What we can track, though, are signs of preparation. Iraq has released research on currency reforms, tested financial systems, and moved closer to modernizing their banking. These steps show planning, not just talk. That's how you measure progress. Another concern is fairness. Will everyday holders like you and me get access to the same rates as insiders and big players? Here's the good news. If Iraq changes its exchange rate officially, it flows through the central banking system. That means commercial banks everywhere will update their boards and anyone with authentic dinar can exchange. Yes, some wealthy investors may have private arrangements. The basic system is designed to work for all recognized holders, not just a few. Now let's address the psychology of all this. Investors hear words like Tier 4B and suddenly feel chosen, like they're part of a secret club. It's exciting. But emotions don't move currencies, policies, and reforms do. Right now, Iraq is focused on stabilizing trade, fighting corruption, and strengthening sovereignty. Those are the real engines of value. The smartest investors know this. They keep their hope alive, but base their decisions on hard facts. It's not fleeting rumors. If Iraq does choose zero deletion, here's how it could look. They might introduce new, smaller notes, -1, 5, 10. 50 dinars while phasing out the 25,000 and 10,000 bills. During the transition, both old and new notes could circulate. Citizens could exchange their larger bills at banks, and international holders might have a specific time window to swap. Depending on how the exchange rate is set, the actual value of your holdings could remain intact even if the zeros are gone. That's why zero deletion isn't the same as a total loss. It's about restructuring. And why would Iraq do this at all? Because it makes daily life more efficient. Imagine paying for groceries in the hundreds of thousands every time you shop. Smaller denominations make everyday transactions practical and easier. Pair that with a stronger exchange rate, and Iraq builds credibility both domestically and internationally. That's what long-term growth looks like. Investors who understand this won't panic when reforms come. Let's circle back to Tier 4B. If redemption centers truly were exchanging currency right now, we would already see ripple effects across global markets. Oil contracts, Forex charts, trade balances, everything would reflect the change. But so far, those signals are not visible. That doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means we should treat unverified claims with caution. Time will tell if Tier 4B is real. Meanwhile, your dinar still holds potential upside, regardless of the rumor mill. So what should you do as an investor in 2025? First, don't bet everything on one outcome. Diversify your portfolio. Second, stay plugged into official sources like the Iraqi Central Bank and credible financial institutions. Third, secure your notes. Authenticity matters because counterfeits will never pass at exchange. Fourth, be ready for multiple scenarios. If the rate rises without zero deletion, that's the jackpot. If Iraq restructures, it's still not the end of the road. And finally, keep your expectations realistic. Don't quit your job or gamble your savings on whispers. Now picture the upside. Imagine Iraq succeeds in stabilizing its economy, improving transparency, and raising its international standing. One day the dinar's value jumps. And suddenly, families around the world can pay off debts, retire earlier, and live dreams they've held for years. That's the vision fueling this movement. It's not impossible. Iraq has the resources.